Hey everybody, welcome back. So today's video is going to be about noises that bikes can make or do make at times, and some diagnostic tricks that I've learned throughout the years. Probably the point of the video is to always check, the natural assumption is anytime a bike is making a creaking noise or some weird mystery noise that the issue is always the bottom bracket. So there's a few things you can check first that are really quick to investigate to see if that's the issue before you start tearing into the bottom bracket or ordering a new bottom bracket online before you're 100% sure what the problem actually is. So sometimes it is the bottom bracket. So I made a video a little while back on the BB30 creaking noises that are pretty common, and I'll put a link to that video, some tricks on that thing. But a few things you might want to check before the bottom bracket. These are just some of the common things that are probably the more common noises, but they're all pretty easy to diagnose and fix. So kind of the first thing is going to be the quick release skewer, and meaning a lot of times the skewer is not quite tight enough, and other times there's the type of skewer that's kind of it's a little cam lock, and those will tend to dry out over time. So as you're rotating the skewer over, or the lever to lock it down, it feels like it's really hard to push and you're getting it tight, but if you actually put some lube on that thing, you'll find that it's a lot easier at that same adjustment level. So typically those just need to be adjusted to where, as you rotate them 90 degrees, when you get about halfway around where it's sticking straight away from the frame, you got some pressure on your palm to push that on over. But you'd be surprised how many noises are actually just from a loose quick release skewer, and it's pretty dangerous as well, because that hit something hard enough or whatever. I've seen wheels come out of bikes from not having the skewer tight enough. Another noise maker can be within the seat post or the seat to the top of the seat post interface there. So just some ways you can check that, or to actually grab hold of the front and the back of the seat. You can kind of rock them up and down, and lots of times that will create some noise. It's typically on a test ride, it's kind of, is the bike making noise while you're sitting down and standing? That's kind of a good way to isolate if it's a possible seat issue. But just rocking the seat up and down or twisting it side to side, that'll sometimes you can isolate the seat post into the frame interface there. It could be an issue. So that needs to either be greased, if it's an aluminum frame or steel frame, and if it's aluminum or steel components, it needs to be greased. If there's any carbon fiber involved, it needs some of that fiber grip carbon paste stuff that kind of lubricates, but it helps it grip, so you don't have to put a ton of torque on your seat post clamp there. Another issue that gets people a lot is the actual little cable guide that goes underneath your frame. A lot of frames, even with internal cables, will have an external guide there where the ship cables, on a mechanical shifted bike, where they are exposed to the elements or sports drink, it dribbles out of the top of the water bottle, and then that's kind of the lowest point of the bike frame, so it'll kind of settle there and coagulate and get sticky. But normally you can either pull your shift lever just slightly, not to shift it into a different gear, but just to slightly move that cable, and you can hear it creak sometimes. Or if you have external cables, you can just pull the cable, and sometimes you can do that, and that's just something easy, quick and easy to check without tearing anything apart. All of those things so far. There is sometimes the cable to where it stops in the frame. Typically it's going to be up in the front where the handlebars are. It's constantly moving. Just gets water in there, a little bit of dirt over time, and it can shift, and that can make noise. So that's an easy thing to check as well. Also, and kind of cousin to that is that if you have a cartridge type headset, some, periodically, maybe every 6 months to a year, it's a good idea just to pull that apart, the headset apart, clean the bearings, and put it all back together. That's another, just when you're riding your bike and just turning ever so slightly, it's just very subtle moves, but sometimes it's just those little moves that kind of cause some popping or creaking, and it's always hard to, especially on like a carbon frame, it's hard to pinpoint where that noise is coming from. So normally you can just move your handlebars back and forth and hear that. So another thing that's just kind of annoying, it's you may not even notice it, but it's you press the valve. If you have an aluminum or a carbon rim, that thing can knock around when you hit bumps and things. But quick way to, you can put a press the valve ring on there, or just a little strip of electrical tape, pierce the valve stem there, and that will take care of that noise. Other times that little press the ring, that's a super common one. Just if those things are not screwed down tight, if you have the press the rings, that thing can rattle around, when you're hitting bumps and things like that. So anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for this video. And again, it's just some quick things you can check before you start digging into the more other common things. Make sure your pedals are tight. Check all the torque on the bolts, stem bolts, things like that they're torqued to the proper settings and everything else. And that's going to be it for the basic easy stuff, as far as tearing into bottom brackets and tearing frames apart and stuff like that to isolate noises. You can do all that after you've checked the easy stuff. So anyway, hopefully you found the video helpful, and thanks for watching.